Hi, these comments are for KA. I am Michael, your English language instructor here at California State University, San Bernardino, and you're working on our very first writing project. And I am also the owner, founder, materials writer for all of the lessons at bettertoeflscores.com. Okay, let's take a look at what you wrote so far. So you're moving in the right direction. You're working on the process essay. This is a 3 to 4 page writing project. You list the steps involved in the process of something. And you're choosing starting a restaurant. And what are the steps involved in starting a restaurant? Okay, so let's take a look at your introduction. Steps to start a business life has become very difficult in terms of finding the right job. And I don't think you need to capitalize this. And then you put a job in a particular company, whether governmental or private, is not sufficient for all the burdens and requirements of life. And it's not enough as the only income resource. Many people, let's put a transition word in there. We'll put many people, therefore, seek to increase their income by starting a new business. Then you might, in particular, let's say starting a restaurant business. Let's say that you want to use a source here to state something, and you do need to integrate other people's voices into your writing. So starting a restaurant business, according to Thompson, is popular among new owners, you might say. To be starting a restaurant business involves, and this is what you didn't do. You need to have some thesis here that kind of sets up what you're doing. How many steps did you list here? Okay, furthermore, starting a restaurant business involves 5 mandatory steps. So I think we have it. So that would be the introduction, is to kind of set it up like that. And this is what we call a thesis. The thesis is the blueprint, kind of the outline for your writing. Then we find that the idea of opening, if you say A, you don't have to make this plural. Opening a restaurant has become one of the most successful business investments for money. But how do you start a restaurant that makes money? Starting how about profitable restaurant. So I don't think that we need any of this here, because we've kind of said it here in the introduction, right? Okay, so we'll have here first. Now this is your paragraph, right? So let's do this. So each of these paragraphs, each of these steps need to be separated into different paragraphs. One of the first basics choosing a location full of people in a lively area is the first Business owners must choose a restaurant location full of people in a lively area. Now, once you've said this, right? This is what we call the topic sentence, right? So now you need to support that, and this is where you can include some research. You can include a business owner who recommends why location is important. So you need to develop this topic. I'm thinking in around 100 words. Owners must accurately estimate their expenses. And you can talk about the different kinds of expenses. This becomes your next paragraph, kind of like this. I recommend about 100 words as you talk about accurately estimating expenses, because if you want to be profitable, you have to know what the expenses are and keep those expenses to a minimum, and then that helps you determine how you can price everything. Then we have our next one, third. About, we'll say, restaurant owners should conduct a feasibility study so that they, and then you develop this idea just like you're doing in the other paragraphs. Okay, this is good. Okay, now let's go to the last one, fourth. Owners will need to contract with one of the food delivery applications to reach more customers. Good. This is a good one. Looks like you really thought about this, right? Now we develop this in about 100 words. The key is the development. This is where your research comes in. You spend some time on the internet and you find some business people that talk about these topics. New owners will need to, we'll put estimate how much labor will be needed for the project. I'm going to change this and put, and they'll need to estimate how much labor will be needed and what the expected salaries will be for the employees. And this is already fairly developed, but I would develop this a little bit more. Okay, we're moving in the right direction now. With each of the paragraphs, I'm going to put something in here in parentheses so you know. Use at least one source to help explain this idea. This makes it a little bit more academic, right? Okay, let's put this within each of these paragraphs. So as you talk about the location being important, you use a source to help explain that. And when you talk about accurately estimating the expenses, you can do the same thing. When you move on to talking about a feasible study, you can definitely support that. And you talk about contracting with the food delivery applications, you can certainly use a source there. And then you have your conclusion here. This is good. So when you say starting a business, how about this? When starting a restaurant business, how about owners will need to understand the market and follow certain steps that will save them time and money. Now the key here is when you're doing this, I would not use the you point of view. The you point of view is a little bit informal. So I think either the third person point of view is going to work better in this type of writing. That's why I changed it to owners and then them instead of you. Okay, so do you get the general idea? So what do you do now? What is the next step? I think your introduction is good. It looks pretty good here. Here's a thesis that you consider using here. Your next assignment is to now develop each of these body paragraphs and find a specific source that you can use to elaborate, to expand on each of those ideas. That you can even do this during our class today. All right, thank you for your email.